Hi guys! Today I'm going to talk about this bike. I'm sure you recognize BMW R 1300 GS, and there are hundreds of reviews of this bike on YouTube, but this is going to be a different one. I want to tell you about each modification that I made to this bike since I bought it last summer, and I'll explain you why I made those changes. My overall goal was to have a motorcycle that fits my personal riding preferences, which is to be mostly off-road, on longer, moderate level technical riding, like BDRs. So this review will be mostly useful for those of you who take your GSs off-road and look for long, full-day or maybe multi-day riding. For that purpose, in my view, we need better tire, taller suspension, better lights, better protection, and minimalistic soft luggage, and as little weight as possible. I'm sure many of you have your own preferences. Please let me know in comments what you think is really important in this case. I'm very fortunate to have great relationship with my BMW motorcycle dealer, Wagner Motorsports. So as soon as this model appeared in the system, they placed an order for my bike according to my specifications. So I want to go over each of the options and explain why I made those choices. It is a US spec bike, so we started with the premium package. In other countries, that's like ordering touring, dynamic, and innovation packages together. Here we can split them. If I could, I would have ordered the dynamic package for electronic suspension and touring package for central locking and the navigation mount, but skipped the innovation package. Then I added the Enduro Pro package, which I think everyone should do, because it doesn't just add engine protection, but also gives you higher quality foot pegs and levers. I mentioned my preference for taller suspension, that's why I checked the sport suspension box. Then I added cross-poked wheels because they handle rough roads better, not the OEM off-road tires. More on this later. For extra comfort on longer rides, I added the electric windshield and the comfort seat. And I should mention the popular options I didn't order. No center stand because it adds weight, no passenger kit since I always ride alone, and no Akrapovic silencer because it's too pretentious. So when my bike arrived, it still arrived with some parts that I didn't care and didn't want to have on the bike because of this premium package nonsense. So I started with removing passenger kit foot pegs from both sides, and because I had Enduro package, it conveniently included this mount for the exhaust. Because I carry soft luggage, I removed the hard luggage brackets. So it was a significant weight reduction. I know it doesn't matter for the engine of this size, but it's still nice. The next step was to install proper off-road tires. I chose not to go with BMW original off-road tire because I know that BMW has a long-standing relationship with their supplier, but I look for really specific things in my tires, and I look for performance. So I bought Motos tires, dual venture for the front and RAL Z for the rear. The original tires sold on Facebook within days, so it wasn't even an expensive switch. The rest of my work will be divided in three major themes: lights, protection, and luggage. This bike comes with a pretty good headlight, but any rider knows there is no such thing as too much light. So I reached out to Denali Electronics and got their brand new D7 Pro kit. Full disclosure, Denali covered its cost, and I would like to thank them again for that. I paid for all other upgrades. I love these lights, they improve my safety both on the road and in many off-road situations. I also like how well they integrate with BMW controls, allowing me to adjust them with the standard Wander wheel. By the way, if you're interested in adding these lights to your bike, check out the installation videos on my channel. I tried various protection solutions for my bike and kept making changes until I settled on the current setup. So the first step was these Touratech reinforcement struts for Enduro protection bars. And the problem with this piece was that the way it is designed, it has hard plastic on the end, and the idea is that it is just pushes against the body of the bike. So every time the bike goes down, these engine protection bars slightly move, start crushing this hard plastic. You see, it's already damaged, And this is actually the only one, the other one completely crumbled. So this is of the bike. So the struts that I have now are made by Wunderlich. They have two critical improvements over the Touratech. They use this little rod to position the strut on the body, and the plastic piece is softer, so it absorbs heat without cracking. While we are looking at the engine bars, here's another Wunderlich part I bought, these protection plates. The OEM bars also have covers, but they are made of very thin, easily deformable metal. The Wunderlich plates are made of 3mm aluminum. They are sturdier, won't bend as easily, and provide better coverage. Now let's look under the bike. Since it had the Enduro package, it came with this skid plate. I wasn't really impressed with it, so I replaced it with the Touratech's Expedition skid plate. I have a separate video on its installation where you can see how it's constructed. It has several different improvements over the OEM skid plate. The plate itself is more robust. It mounts to the bike with a steel base plate that helps absorb heat, and these plastic covers help the bike slide over the obstacles instead of getting stuck on them. Moving up, I added upper crash bars by SW Motec. It's rare, but sometimes the bike can fall and touch the ground with the tank or upper fairing. Usually that causes minor cosmetic damage at worst, but I prefer to avoid that. And there is also two simple additions for protection against rocks and debris. This Touratech headlight protector and a pair of OEM radiator guards. Okay, let's move to the luggage. I already said that I ride with soft luggage. In my case, it's Moscow Reckless 80, usually without the top bag. Since I never have passengers, I wanted to mount this luggage as much forward as possible, keeping it closer to the bike's center of mass. This meant replacing the rear seat with the luggage plate. At first I tried the BMW original part, but it felt too flimsy because it was made of two interconnected pieces of plastic. So I looked around and found this pair of plates made by Isotta in Italy. The one called Solar Rider replaces the rear seat, and the other called Dirty Rider extends the luggage area a little bit further back. Together they are a perfect base for the Moscow luggage. The last component of my luggage setup are these two brackets that keep the bags slightly off the bike's body. These are DIY, a friend cut and shaped some metal tubing for me. They are basic, but do the great job. Finally, the double-take mirrors. Adventure riding is team sport, and we always want to keep an eye on those riders who go behind us. I absolutely loved how quickly you can adjust them between standing and sitting. I had them on my 1250 and installed slightly updated version of the same mirrors. To do that, I actually lost the blind spot warning light, but in my view, it's not a big loss. So that's all. I know it's a lot of information for a single video, so thank you for staying through the entire length of it. I'm sure many of you will have questions or comments. Just write those in comments. I'm happy to answer all of them. I will also provide links to each of the parts that we discussed today, so check out the description for this video. Thank you.